All right, good evening, everyone. Time is 6:32, December 19th, 2023, Abington Conservation Commission meeting. It's going to be a hybrid meeting with Rich Smith joining via Zoom. So we'll do a roll call vote for everything we vote on tonight. First item on the agenda is SE 084-568, notice of intent located at 5 Robert English Way. So there are a couple changes that had to be made to the original plan, basically showing the new buffer zone based off of the replication area on the notice of intent that's already in place for the subdivision. And plans, you've already...
Yeah, I didn't know how much you wanted me to go into it. Yeah, Sean Hardy, professional engineer with Hardy Man Design Group. At the last meeting, you recall you approved the one down the end, but these two we wanted to revise to show where the limit of the proposed wetland replication area was and what the offsets to that was, as well as showing the erosion control line. So those edits were made.
So I noticed that the markers are right at the edge of the replication and not closer to the 50-foot buffer.
Yeah,
The signage should be right at the limit of work.
we weren't sure that you were requiring it, but the owner wanted to just show that to make sure that nothing was going to be encroached on back there.
Yeah, typically we make certain that we have markers put up, like basically don't access, especially because you don't want somebody messing up a replication area and then you got to start over. But typically the signs, the 35-foot buffer is a no disturb, so like nobody should even be walking on it.
Okay.
But I would recommend putting the markers at the 50-foot, just in case whoever buys the house isn't going to be tempted to start digging in there.
I think that's the requirement.
Okay.
Sure. I mean, I was thinking a little further back, might just allow some space for like kids to play back there. And, I mean, they can still walk in that area.
Well,
Kids
not
are gonna end up in the woods.
not in the 35-foot buffer and beyond.
That's
It's
where I
supposed
would
to be
put
a
it, on a
no-touch.
35-foot.
Yeah.
Just they're not supposed to go beyond that point because it's a
we're not gonna
no-touch.
work back there.
No, because there's the 50-foot is the no-build, right? But the 35 feet is a no-touch, meaning no one's even supposed to go back there.
Okay, I understood that you couldn't work there, but like, if
No,
my
no.
son wants to go.
There's a no work and then there's a no touch. And no touch means nobody touches. No work means you can, outside of that, you could go in and, if you need to do something to get to where you're gonna work, then you can go in there, but it's a temporary thing.
Yeah, of course.
But 35 is the nothing.
Okay, that's up. We can agree
Okay.
to that.
Okay.
Remember, as a kid, like going.
Oh, sure. And we understand kids are gonna do stuff like that, but we wanna discourage that as much as possible, especially because you don't want kids to be, trying to drive bikes or, do silly things like kids do, going right through your replication area in particular, so.
Jane, you have anything?
No, I think Lynn pretty much just spoke on what I was thinking. No, it's fine. It's fine. No, I don't have any questions.
All right, open up to the public. All right, bring it back to the board. Somebody want to make a motion? Oh, I'm sorry, Rich, you have any questions? I'm sorry.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Somebody want to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve SC 084568, located at 5 Robert English Way.
Do we have a second?
Will second.
All right, roll call. Rich, you want to start?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Lynn?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Thank you for that one.
Thanks.
Next up is SE 084-570, located at 17 Robert English Way, which is right next door. And I think it's all going to be...
Yeah, it's
Same
the
thing.
same
Same thing for
thing,
this
yeah.
one,
It's the same line that's shown on those two lots.
Right.
It's-
Yeah.
So same thing, we want the signage at the 35-foot buffer instead of at the edge.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jean, you have anything?
Nope.
Rich, you got anything? Anybody from the public? I'll bring it back to the board. Rich?
Rich, you're not muted.
Is he muted?
Sorry,
No, Rich, you have any questions about 17 Robert English Way?
I do not.
Okay, then I will, this time, entertain a motion for this property.
I'll make a motion to approve SEO 84570 at 17 Robert English Way.
I will second.
All right, roll call. Rich?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Lynn?
Aye.
I'm also an aye.
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
All right, next up, request for determination of applicability located at 1400 Bedford Street. I'm going to recuse myself for this one.
I haven't heard a thing.
Yeah, that was me, but we're not, at the last meeting, you said to hold off on asking for the order, certificate of compliance on that, and we're
Right.
supposed to file an RDA.
Correct.
I just got the authorization from the owner to do the RDA, so we're going to contract to do
I
that.
think we just threw it on there just in case you did have it for
Yeah,
that.
I'm not, we weren't.
Okay, so we'll see you at the next meeting
It might
next
not
year.
even be that one,
Okay.
because with the 2 weeks and the holiday and stuff, but it will be
Right.
soon,
Okay.
Okay,
okay?
thank you.
When's the, thank you, sorry, thank you. What, when's the next meeting though, so we can make a motion to continue?
Hold on. January 9th.
January 9th, okay. All right. So want to make a motion to continue the RDA?
It's not an open filing, so you can skip it.
Okay.
Just saying.
And, okay. Okay, and then for SEO 84510, request for certificate of compliance at 1400 Bedford Street.
You would continue the
Yep.
certificate.
I know. Motion?
Did you make the
Continue?
motion? Yeah, to continue? Sure.
Okay.
Motion to continue SE 084-510
Mhm. To the
till January 9th, 2024
Yes.
meeting.
Okay. All right, so we'll take a roll call. Rich?
Aye.
Okay, thanks. Jean?
Aye.
And I.
Okay,
Okay.
excellent. Moving right along.
Next up, certificate of compliance located at 145 Linwood Street, formerly known as 402 Groveland Street, which is the address that the original notice of intent that we voted on was addressed as. I know I've been to the site. Rich, you've been there more recent, actually, no, I was out there yesterday. You were out there last week for a site visit, or a week and a half ago, correct?
Correct.
Anything you want to add?
I thought everything looked great. The retention area looked great. The signage was up. Everything for the most part looked like it was growing in nice, given the weather. You know, I'm sure it's doing the best that it can, but other than that, I thought it looked good.
Oh, can I slide too?
Slide on over.
Okay. This time.
And I took a ride out there yesterday, just with all the heavy rain. I wanted to see how the two 12-inch pipes were going, and water was only still coming out of the first one, so functioning the way it's supposed to be functioning.
Good to know.
This is the wetlands replication
Yep.
area.
Right.
Okay.
And where was the marker? The marker.
Where are the markers supposed to be?
Right there,
Okay.
there, there, they're all over the place.
Is this another one?
Yep.
Okay. And what kind of markers do?
Rich?
Yes.
What were the markers made out of?
Aluminum with probably a 4x4 footing on them.
In the package that we got that was emailed to us that had the photos, was that Ken Thompson's photographs and everything?
Yes.
Okay, one of the markers looked like it was like 6 inches off the ground. I don't know which one that is, something about, do you have it? I didn't
It
print
should be
any
in-
of it off.
Yeah, it should be in here. Oh, yeah, this one right here?
Yeah, like, are all the markers like that, or is it just that one and?
No, the other ones are up higher than that.
Okay, because, I mean, that, I don't know why it's so small, like,
Oh, there's two like that. This one, and there's another one.
It was certainly very obvious. They
Would they be obvious,
I'm sorry?
They were very contiguous, yeah.
would they be obvious under a pile of leaves? A big pile of
Yep.
leaves?
I think they would stick up further than leaves. I mean, my concern is on a storm like we would have just had, 3 inches of rain, is it, if that's a snow situation, is that different? Probably, but I think there's nothing we can do about that. 3 feet of snow is going to be 3 feet of snow no matter what, so.
Yeah.
If we want to change that, we have to change it. But no, you got a pile of leaves right here, and then you can still see them in the photo.
Okay. I just didn't know if the other markers were taller or not.
In our regulations, we do say 4 by 4.
Yeah, 4 by 4,
Oh, I thought.
not by 4.
Okay.
So you should put that in the order of conditions
Yeah.
next time.
Height, length, width, height.
I mean, I'm not gonna know anything about the wetland replication area until the
No,
spring.
it's the same thing, but just
So-
like the other
Yep.
one we approved, it's,
Yep.
It's a work in
Yep.
progress, so
Mhm.
get the report for that.
yep.
I wished I could have made it out there, because from what I could see from the street, that looked pretty nice.
No, it is. They,
Is this a wetland, New England mix that they put in there for the lawn? Is that lawn or is it wetland mix? New England?
I don't know if that's in Ken's report or not.
Because I'm sure he
You know,
did
the-
the,
Well, I mean, he put it in the wetland area. That's all the report goes by is over here, where he's got it.
okay.
Anybody have other questions?
Those are my questions as far as, I just didn't know if all the markers were the same or if it was just those. And where are those two?
Which one? Those are, I think it's 1 and 4.
Okay.
Yeah. This would be. So that's number 1,
Yeah,
and that one over there is number 4.
okay.
Rich, you have anything else to add before we open it up to the public?
No, I think overall the property itself looked great. I know this was a difficult project, but I think it looks great and everything's protected from what we can see. So good job.
Anybody in the audience have anything to add? All right, bring it back to the board. Somebody want to make a motion?
So what are we?
Is it certificate of compliance?
Oh, we don't even have what's the NOI number? Oh, right here.
I don't know.
You make the motion.
Okay, make a motion to approve a certificate of compliance for SEO 840558, located at 154 Linwood Street, formerly
45.
known as
145.
What?
You said 154.
Oh,
The
okay.
address, 145.
145 Linwood Street, formerly known as 402 Groveland Street.
A second.
Rich?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Lynn?
Aye.
I'm also an aye.
There you go.
Unanimous.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a nice night.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, what are we going to next? National Grid?
Yeah.
Hold on. All right, next up, SE 084-557, request for certificate of compliance for National Grid. So for this one, this is, just for work they did in their easement. They've supplied the as-built, and they have the certification letter from their engineer. Anybody have any questions on this?
No.
Rich, do you have anything?
No questions, thank you.
All right, open it up to the public. Bring it back to the board. Somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve SC 084-557, request for certificate of compliance for National Grid.
You have a second?
I'll second.
All right, roll call. Rich?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Lynn?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Unanimous. All right, next up, discussion on letter received from DEP regarding 267 North Quincy Street. Have we got anything back from the certified mail you sent to the new address? No? When did you send it out? All right, you gotta send another one out, and then
When was it sent out?
2 weeks ago?
I don't have the date off the top of my head, I can't get into my computer.
I'm just wondering, general.
So if we don't get another one, then I guess reach out to Amy and, or town council, and we'll have to go that route. So if we don't get anything before our next meeting, just, that's the route we'll go to get on the property. All right. Next up, complaint and course of action, update Hanson Tree. So I think the last meeting, the area had already been delineated, so they're gonna come before us with a plan sometime in the winter. So they can do the work that needs to be done in the spring. Next up, discussion and possible amendments for SE 084-565, orders of condition, located at 0 Summer Street. And I'll just give a rundown. So on Thursday, whatever, was the date, 14th of December, zoning board of appeals, they approved the modifications to the plans that we approved. After the meeting, Mark had a couple questions on some of the orders of conditions, so I said we can discuss them at our next meeting, which is today.
Yeah, no, I think first and foremost, Chair, Mark Seck, WP East Acquisitions LLC, we appreciate you guys willing to have this conversation and get us on the agenda. I know you guys appear to be a full night, but it appears to be moving pretty quickly. So we had sent ahead, so we went through, obviously, the conditions, and, we really tried to, there was, a lot more than, I think we've typically seen in the past, and for what we saw on other projects in town, and we really tried to just see which ones, that were really difficult. There's some that we just certainly couldn't outright apply with, and, there's some that I think administratively we can discuss if some of the verbiage is wrong. It looks like some of them are carryovers from other conditions that aren't really applicable to this project, and happy to discuss those or not if you'd like as well. But there definitely was a few that I think just some of the wording might need a change. I know I'd sent a copy. I have printout of ones that might be a little bit easier to read, and there was one bad note in one of the comments, so I don't know if it makes sense. Nothing of substance changed, but
Thank you.
There was one, as it mentioned, a SWIFT, it was really the Nifty's.
Nifty's, yep.
Yeah. So there was just an error on my part. So, like I said, we appreciate you willing to look at these with us, and, we try to just do the bare minimum of ones that, and there's a couple that we just had a couple questions on, so. A1, I've tried to do a good job of just highlighting the ones, just at a first glance, so you can kind of get a sense for it. So, this is one that I think this really came about, right, as we had been primarily focused all along on kind of that, it would be kind of plan, I don't know if we could pull it up, this may help, but plan kind of northeast. It's really the southeast where the main pond is. If you remember, you know, we moved the garages away from it, the parking spaces away from it. And I believe this comment had kind of arrived, and I could be wrong, out of that. So this is, yeah. Yeah, this is facing like that. So down here, so we actually are doing work, and Phil can elaborate that better, where we are within inside the 25-foot setback. So we were hoping to get that amended to, you know, where applicable, we would try to stay with 25 feet anywhere we can in event, outside of the few locations where we just physically cannot. There is some work being done. Phil, can you just elaborate on where that work is and what the detail or extent of that work is?
Very, very quickly, Phil Cordero, Allen and Major Associates. We did talk about it at great length during the meeting. The reference is in area along the west side, the toe of the slope for the stormwater basin. We have that work right there, which is just outside of 25 feet where we tie it all back together. So it was just really an administrative pickup on the order where it says 35, but the plan actually illustrates others.
Yep.
We just want to be in compliance with it, so we wanted to draw your attention to it.
So it just has to do with that infiltration basin. So by the letter of the law, we can't physically comply with that condition unless we amend it. But there's no building, no parking, none of that's going on with anything. So we'll have the fence barrier, you know, to the furthest extent possible that we can.
Yeah, you're gonna keep it as tight as you can.
Of course, yeah.
Yep.
So that's kind of what we thought we showed here and what we're reflected in a potential revision.
I mean, that's how we approved it anyways. You have anything?
So if we're going to amend the order of conditions, is it specifically just for that area, the 25 feet? Can we follow that?
That's what they just.
Yeah, we're going to
that's what
submit a plan that'll show where our erosion control is.
So you have the plan, so there's no new plan coming.
Right,
You
right.
have all
No,
of
I'm
these
just
plans.
saying,
Yes.
as far as this order goes, right here.
Yes.
What was typed up, I mean, we could just specify right there, it says the 25, right?
Yeah,
You-
they show work outside of the
Right.
35 foot and we approved it already,
Okay.
so they're just basically
Yeah, okay.
tightening up what we approved instead
Right.
of them
Right.
going to work and day one on that basin, they're already violating two other conditions. So,
Right. Right. I think that's what Mark was referring to as shown on plan or
Yep.
as applicable. Whatever the commission's preference is, it just tidies it up. That's all.
yeah, I'm fine with the changes for A1.
So A3, and this is the one that we had mentioned is kind of covered under our NIPD's permit,
Yep.
which, and just the, you know, I believe there, you know, this is covered that any stuff that's left for 14 days, that you do have to secure and stabilize. Having to stabilize something every single night is just not really feasible.
You gotta make I know, especially you put hay and you get a windy day, it's gonna, or not hay, straw, it's gonna could blow into the pond or something like that.
So this just, you know, obviously, this is still be covered under our NIPD's permit, you know, we'll still have to abide by all this. It's just adding.
I
so-
think there's language in the SWIP too for that too, as well. I think,
For temporary stabilization of
Yeah.
stockpiles and work
Yeah.
zones, that if they're not worked for an extended period, then they have to be covered.
Yep.
But they do allow for sort of the daily operations.
Right.
We're just trying to align your condition with their language, since it seems to be what your intent was.
That's an acronym for, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar
I'm
with
not
what
gonna,
that is.
you can answer it.
So-
What is it, NPDES permit? I have
National-
no
National
clue.
No, the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System,
Okay.
which is the federal EPA permit that
Okay.
regulates construction activities.
All right, that's the
Yes.
federal permit.
That's why they call it a NIPD's instead of,
That's right, it's a mouthful. And the other one we're going to talk about, we'll just get it out, SWPPP, Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan. That's going to come up in a minute. they're all tethered to NIPD's. The SWIP is just the next line item to NIPD's.
Belts and suspenders.
So for this one, since it is kind of covered under that permit, we're hoping to have this one removed.
Yep.
B2.
Well, do you want to,
Oh,
what do
sorry.
we want to, do we want to,
Vote on each one.
yeah, it's probably better off we do that.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
way we don't have to go back and repeat it.
Because if one of us gets no, 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 no,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep, just put a check mark next to each one and then. Rich, just if,
Yeah, I apologize. Although, was Rich given, there was only one, this was the only one that changed. And so I don't know if Rich was given a copy of the one that was sent to you, Chairman.
yep. Rich, do you have a copy of this? I think Tony, you emailed it to him, right?
Emailed it to me when I was on the phone with him.
I don't know if there's a new version, I do not have a copy. I do have an old copy.
This one's just easier to read.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't think anything else has changed except for this one, right?
Correct, yeah, because this one had mentioned the SWIP when it was really the NIPD's.
Okay.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
So I'm fine with removing A3. I know you guys haven't really worked with SWIPs and
No, we
NIPD's
haven't,
permits,
so you
but
kind of have to enlighten us as far as what that,
What that all means.
exactly. Thank you.
I agree.
so we fine with eliminating A3?
Since it's already covered elsewhere,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And then if I may, just because I do appreciate that, Lynn, I do think it makes sense to do it one by one. Just to confirm, A1, the red line is shown. That
That's,
was,
we're gonna go with your changes
that
there.
worked, okay.
A3, we're just gonna
Okay.
delete.
Are we going to vote on each one?
Well, we can vote on it at the end once we've agreed on all of them, then we'll just vote on the revised amended orders. That's probably the easiest way to do it.
so B2 under drainage and runoff. This one was just a little vague, and it looked like it was slightly altered from some of the other standard conditions, and it left too much, right? So a lot of times too, when we look at these conditions is, this is a project that'll have to get financed, by the bank, right? And they'll look at this and they don't like to see we don't either, vagueness, right? And it's, what did you mean by water flow shall be maintained, I guess? It's kind of
Basically, it's
open-ended.
like, so what's the high point? Up by the MBTA part, okay. What's the low point? So water's going from there to there. So basically, you want to make sure during construction, until all your new drainage is in, water still goes from there to there. It doesn't go towards the pond or something like that. That's I think it's one of our next,
Yeah, we have a condition in there that this has to be set up basically first, right?
Yep.
Before we have the underground
Yep.
drain, or the ongoing existing drainage, the temp one, this will have to be set up, which it will be, so.
I mean, that's why we're going to probably update our standard orders of condition is because of stuff like this.
Yeah,
Because
They haven't been updated
what does it
since
mean?
the
Yeah.
90s.
And it's more for us to just basically make sure that no water during construction ends up going into a resource area.
yeah.
So I don't know if we make a special condition to more fine tune what we're looking for, just to basically say, no, so I don't even know how you would do it.
Mr. Chair, if I may, it
Yeah.
gets a little, it gets a little cumbersome because you have the resource areas to protect. The SWIP allows for temporary
It's also in
sedimentation
there too,
basins
yeah.
that sort of redirect water. I think your ultimate goal is you just don't want sedimentation in the wetland resource areas.
Right.
And, I mean, that's pretty explicit from the order itself.
And a lot of these are going to be covered under the SWIP or under the NIPSES permit.
Right, right. Just the very issuance of your order of conditions under the axes don't alter, affect, or materially damage the wetland resource areas. You're fully responsible for it. So embedded sort of within that language is we have to make sure the water
Right.
gets from point A to point B. And I'd go so far as to say, we don't want to stop the water because then we're creating a pool
It's a
on
mess for
site
you.
of the site that we can't navigate around. So with sensitivity to these being your standard conditions, I might suggest to delete it here in its entirety because we can't comply with it, or we can work to wordsmith it a little bit better if you're open to that. Whatever you.
Well, you are going to comply with it, it's just not going to be in the It's,
course, yeah.
Correct,
it's in
yes.
other places.
We will
In
comply
other
with
permits,
it,
yeah.
and that's what we're here to say. It's just we can't comply, and when we go down the certificate of compliance in a couple of years, you'll go, did they do B3, B2? And we'll all look at each other and we're not really sure whether we did it or not.
Well, and B2, can't you just put in, as it pertains to, in parentheses, SWPPP, so that we know what it references? I mean, that's...
No, you can't change the
Oh.
wording in this,
Okay.
right? Or can you?
I mean, it's already changed.
Yeah, we are changing.
Yeah, I mean, we're changing it now, so why can't we just in parentheses put as covered under the SWPPP?
It's not standard anymore, so might as well.
Yeah.
And what was that acronym again for the SWPPP?
Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan.
Stormwater Prevention Pollution Plan. Okay, thank you.
And/or NIPD's.
And/or NIPD's.
So would B2, similar to A3, since it's going to be covered under both of those, is it going to be removed
No, we'll keep it in, but we're gonna add,
in accordance with?
in accordance with the SWIP
Yes.
and/or NIPD's. SWPPP.
What should it say, in accordance with?
And/or.
Is that all right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
or
fine.
Any,
Yes, we don't want to tell the commission how to do it, but that, in our opinion, meets the intent of what the chair alluded to that you were going for.
all right, C3 is next.
C3, again, there's just one,
I figured that one I'll just save everybody time, just, you have an approved plan with how you're building it, just build it that way, so I think that one can be just eliminated,
okay.
yeah. Because we're not gonna tell you to build a wall around, it's already been approved, gone through zoning, through their peer reviewer, through our peer reviewer, and nobody had any comments with building anything around it, so just,
Okay.
we look at the plan, the as-bilt's gonna substantially comply with the plan, and that's that, so eliminate C3.
Yeah, I agree. You okay with that?
And then D1, this was the one that we really wanted to have a conversation about.
Okay.
It similarly ties back to vagueness with water quality and how is it measured? Is this a standard condition for most projects? You know, it does mention, you know, discharging off-site, which we don't do. So part of it's kind of the applicability of it, as well as kind of going back to how is that water quality measured, right? In our minds, our opinion, you know, lender's opinion, that can still be kind of vague, right? So wanted to just kind of walk through this and see if there's a way that there's some kind of not even middle ground, just we're trying to understand what that means, right? And we want to make sure that you're comfortable that we're, you know, holding up our end for during construction and that, and also stabilization, that there's no, you know, detriments, but also trying to understand what these mean and why they were added, I guess.
And it's 1, 2, and 3.
Correct.
Seem to all be interconnected, so I know you can vote them individually, but maybe the discussion is collective.
I mean, my thoughts on this was just, if anything gets into the catch basins that tie into the drainage that dumps out into the wetlands across Summer Street, because this is the start of the watershed, correct?
Yeah.
Yep,
And you have the pond,
right.
and so if we're having issues with pH, salinity changes, whatever, that's gonna be a big issue for
Correct.
the pond
Because that will affect all the wildlife around that pond
and in it.
and in it, so I think that's why we were so specific, or we had that put in, not specifically, but
Yeah.
that was our concern, and that was raised by the
Yeah.
peer reviewer.
Yeah, I think we
You know, because of the fact that, I mean, that pond, I mean, you did stretch it out a little bit, which we were grateful for, but it would have been nicer because to have a little bit more room, which you could not do.
Of course, yeah.
So now the concern is the negative effect of all this to that area. And it's
Yeah, I
just
think
going to
it's-
change everything.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that, Gene. I think it's how do we box that in, right? You mentioned the salinity. Well, what's the base case? How do you quantify, okay, this really is detrimental to the water quality? It's kind of tough to box that in, is kind of where, and Phil, I
Right,
don't-
no, he's got it. I mean, I'm sort of giving him kind of the engineering guidance to check all the boxes to say, well, what are we testing for? And what are we testing it against to say whether it meets or doesn't meet? And in which case, if it doesn't meet, what do we do? It's undefined. And we're sensitive to what Matthew had indicated as your consultant towards the performance of the buffer relative to the pond. To be frank, I'm not sure the water quality testing will get you what you're looking for, because I don't think the results will be, detailed enough, and it's too subjective to say whether we're having a material effect or not. So that's for your consideration.
I think, again, we're relying on our experience building these right in a professional manner, and then also, the checks and balances with the NIPDs and SWIP that we rely on, and that our erosion control is properly installed, that will be inspected, constantly monitored. We do provide weekly reports, I believe, under the SWIP, right? And so, from a professional standpoint, right, we're very well qualified, and that we, it's more making sure we have the checks and balances so that it doesn't potentially fail, right? And that's really where we think we will save this, not save it, but give comfort to the board. I mean, I think we understand their concerns, right? We share the same ones, and I think how we address that is just in our upfront and our checks and methods that will prevent this from happening.
I'm not a scientist in this respect, in terms of water quality, but, and I didn't, this is order of conditions we've had for, as Tony put, decades now. So I don't know we've been putting this in, or not putting it in.
May I ask?
So where's the,
Are other developers and applicants actually performing said tests, and are they providing results? I don't mean to be sarcastic. Sometimes people
appear to be
don't necessarily follow what's in them.
right, well, that's been an issue. We're a fairly new board, and we're finding people have not been, and now we're saying,
Right.
okay, and nobody has been checking up
Right.
until recently. So I would say that, no, we haven't, but is it because of lax oversight in the past, or what? But, I mean,
Exactly.
it's there for a reason in terms of, it's been there since the 90s. So it shouldn't be something that's unheard of. But I don't know how water quality works. I'm not an expert in that field.
A lot of this is going to tie in later on. We get to the whole on-site.
Environmental inspections.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, yes.
And I think a lot of that's going to be covered.
Do we want to skip this and come back? Since it'll be tied in with what's going on later?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we'll go to G5.
G5, yeah, this is one that just thought was a little excessive. We were hoping the board be amenable to 50 feet. The standard condition looked like for the other applicants were all 25. So we're hoping that 50, we looked at it, just given how tight the site is, we were hoping to do 50 from the wetlands. Obviously, we'll do our best, right? This is similar to the first one, right, where we're going to keep it to the furthest extent as possible, but, it just, could there be an occurrence where it is less than 100? It could be, right?
Well, why don't we leave it at 100, and if there's an occurrence where it's less than 100, that somebody calls us and tells us, and we say, okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of onerous to ask, our on-site guys every, try to be measuring.
Well, I understand, but once damage is done, and once something happens, it happens. I mean, I'm trying to understand what you're
No,
saying.
yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking if a delivery truck shows up and drops a pallet of, wood or OSB board, and it's within, how, it's just, it kind of, so
Yeah.
we feel very confident where we're planning on having our staging and that will be outside the 50, but not within the 100 feet. And I think we're just asking here too, I mean, just to be consistent, we're even willing to do double what a lot of the other orders have had at 50. We just think 100 is going to be, it's just going to be too tight based off of kind of what our logistics plan would look
I mean,
like.
because it's talking about debris and fill and excavated material, not just a delivery.
For
So
sure.
that's my concern. I mean, if someone on the site takes a truck, dumps a bunch of debris right near the wetlands, I mean,
You should having someone there to make sure that
Yeah.
doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I mean, would you
that-
be okay with best efforts?
I mean,
To
define
do 50,
best
but
effort.
best efforts to 100?
What's the best effort?
They can't be seeing every,
yeah.
thing
No,
on
no,
site
no,
at all
and I
times.
get
Well,
it,
no,
but-
no, but I mean, we've been talking about vagueness, so best effort could just be, like,
Yeah.
if we look at that and say, did you follow your best effort, what does
I
that
think
mean?
they would. I mean, it'll be
How's that
part of our
qualified?
pre-construction meeting with you that's mentioned later and, outlining, you'll be able to see a little bit more detailed logistics and CMP, construction management plan, and to show where we're planning on having this.
Well, where would it be an issue? On the site?
I think it's kind of everywhere, right? I mean, we're going to be doing earthwork excavation on the whole site. I can't pinpoint that. I'm on the, once they put together their actual plan for how they're going to build this, it'll come more into light.
No, the first thing you're gonna do is, other than clearing, is do the drainage. The drainage work's gotta be done first anyway.
Right, yeah.
So.
And not trying to compare us to the other projects, right? They're different in size and scope, and every project's different.
Most of our projects are not this big.
Of course, yeah,
So, and
right.
that's,
Yeah.
we're able to give a little bit more wiggle
Sure,
room
of
to
course, yeah,
places, but,
Right, but,
and they're not using up as much buffer.
Mm-hmm, yep,
Right.
yeah. Well, then that's why we worked hard to talk with our construction guys about doing 50, right, which is double. And understand your concerns, and I think just if we can wordsmith it, or if 50 works. I think, and I guess, I guess I should say this also will then stay consistent with 1I2C and 14E, which does mention 50 feet. So I guess I should mention that.
2C and 1.4.
If you look at 1-2C on page 5. As well as 14E. Right, those mentions the stockpiling, and those both have 50 feet. So I think this just helps it be consistent with those as well.
Where's 1.4E?
Huh?
Oh, okay. Oh, I don't see that. Is it I4?
Yeah, did I say 1?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I2.
Or I'm looking at it and I see 1 or I or something.
yeah, I like mine.
It looks like 1.4 instead of I. That's okay. I don't see 1.4 on here. Do you see 1.4?
What are you looking for?
1, or I4.
Yeah, it's on page 5.
I2C and 14E.
I2C, okay.
I2C, but where's the?
Oh, no, it's not one of his edits, it's just, right here.
Yeah, on
Oh,
page,
okay.
yeah. The actual condition that we didn't,
You didn't,
At the very,
it's
very
not
bottom
shown.
of page 5,
Okay.
during clearing operations, trees adjacent to wetlands, ... should be removed. No stockpiling of erosive materials may occur within 50 feet of any resource area. That's,
So that's for, but that's for clearing specifically.
and then 14E, stockpiles, shall be, in staging storage, stockpiles shall be 50 feet.
erosive materials.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's different than this debris fill, excavated material, construction material.
You know, most of it will be stuff that's on site, right? There's no building there, there's no demo, none of that stuff is gonna get within it in terms of debris, right? All the debris is just gonna be trees.
Yeah, well, all the material, you're gonna be taking material out for the basins, or you're gonna be using the material
Yeah, I'm
to?
trying to think where cut fill shows.
So it's input. The site
Okay.
is really an input. We'll move around a good amount of material.
Yeah.
We're really bringing it in, placing it. Which means it comes in, trucked,
Yeah.
gets dumped where it's intended to go.
And this also ties into the whole monitoring, where if you give them 50, you're gonna have somebody out there once, I think it's once a week when we get to it, right? So if there's something that doesn't look good, their monitors, whoever they hire is gonna be able to say, stop work, this needs to be fixed.
But we have to say how far though, for them to say, stop work.
Well, that's why if we say the 50 feet, or best efforts.
No, I thought it was 100 feet best efforts, but it was, you guys had suggested 50 feet, and that was it, not best efforts and 50 feet, so, yeah.
Well, what's the difference between a bunch of crap and one's for 50 feet, erosive materials versus construction materials? Why is one in 50 and one's 100? Is there a substantial difference?
Because we said 100.
Yeah, I know, but
Well, building
Hypo-
material
not
is, it could be a pallet of block. It's not gonna do anything, except the only thing that's gonna damage the buffer would be the pallet sitting on the dirt.
Right, that's what I
So-
mean, is there a substantial difference in harm to wetlands from debris fill excavated material, blah, 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 versus erosive materials? I would imagine erosive materials are not that fantastic for wetlands either.
I'm fine with the 50, because I'm working on a project right now where my limit is 50 feet. No best effort. But I don't want to be 50 feet away.
All right, well, if we've got 50 for erosive materials,
So
then.
we'll change that to 50 then.
Yeah, we have to be, I think
Yeah.
being consistent is fair. We can always revisit
G5.
that later.
Change that,
Thank you.
100 to 50.
G7, just adding some proposed language, just, you know, consistent with Massachusetts contingency plan MCP guidelines. Should any reportable contaminated fill be discovered, it will not only notify Mass DEP, but also this local conservation commission.
Perfect.
That's fine.
So G7, yep. H7,
H7, I mean, not a big deal. We don't own a culvert on site, so that was one we just kind of as a, it's not really applicable. That, you know, this is obviously your standard conditions. This one was just a carryover. Again, it's, because it's not really applicable, I could leave it in there, but it's not really, so we just thought we'd strike it.
yeah, I was thinking more a lot as like a drain pipe, but I'm fine with eliminating it. And the other two just change letters from B to C to A to B. All right, next up is I2, and it's,
This would be, yeah, I2D. This is just the one, if you remember, along with your third-party consultant, we decided to not do any replication, right? So I just didn't want this one to
so
be
eliminate,
confusing.
eliminate D from I2D is eliminated. So now special conditions, general conditions, number 3.
Yeah, this one's going to be tough, and I think this is just a wordsmith, right? It's, we can't have just a blanket, we have the right to impose conditions after the fact, right? It's,
I think this is speaking more to if something happens, so we need to add, something new
yeah, I think.
to prevent issues. It's more of that. It's not that we're going to arbitrarily decide, hey, we want everybody to dress in pink,
For sure, right.
Something like
And
that.
we appreciate that is the
Legally,
intention. It just.
Right.
We get to say that.
Right.
From the legal standpoint, it doesn't read that way.
Right,
It
right,
reads
yeah,
like
yeah,
You can come
yeah.
out and do whatever you want after the fact.
I think that's my reading of what it was supposed to be,
So I don't.
is
you-
that
you had an
there is some
idea for how-
flexibility
Isn't
for what
there-
happens on
Right,
site.
if you think that the
Isn't there any
erosion
language in
control
the
measures are not enough, you want to
WPA
be able
that
to
says we can do
impose,
that
sure.
anyways?
The what?
Isn't there language in the WPA that says we can add orders of condition at any time during a project?
I feel like if we already have this problem though, that you're already gonna do it first.
3J3. You had a good.
If it's, do you have access to the regulations?
We get the regulations.
You were saying it's in the,
I mean,
WPA.
how about,
yeah.
would it make sense,
What- no,
if I
not
can,
our
Chair, just to,
regulations.
that you can
The state.
impose,
You won't have a copy of that, right?
I guess, additional or modified erosion or sediment controls if you just eliminate, right? So it would read, "The Abington Conservation Commission reserves the right to impose additional or modified erosion and sedimentation controls during construction if it deems that the site
Do
conditions
we have
warrant
the
such measures."
regulations too?
Ours?
Yeah, no, not ours.
No,
This one.
right now.
Can we call them up on a website?
Yeah, they're probably on their
I'm gonna
website.
figure all night to do that.
Well, you have a meeting list.
Um,
That's for the consultant. Oh, this is our bylaw, not the state. You don't have the state, okay. I wonder if we can just Google it.
I'm trying to think. Commission reserves the right to impose additional conditions on sediment and erosion control if deemed necessary.
Are there any other things that could pop up during construction besides that?
I mean, stormwater is not us, they. Realistically, if there's any changes because of, pre-existing conditions, you guys are gonna have to redesign something and
We come back,
reinvent the wheel.
right, and we would come back.
Yeah.
You know, if I may, I mean, as you're deliberating, the reason we suggested erosion sediment and control as being the first pass is we know that that's your interest relative
Right.
to the resource areas. So we think we could wordsmith the intent of that down to be that. Anything beyond there, obviously, we don't get a blank check either. You remain with enforcement authority, you would issue an enforcement order if we do bad. And then we're back here, standing here,
Right.
either curing it, defending it, or doing whatever you need. So it doesn't
had it happen.
remove authority that this commission has,
Yes.
but it doesn't give a blank check that on the whim, somebody can go out there on a Tuesday and make us all dress
Stop
in
working, I want
pink.
you to put another row of erosion control 50 feet away, yeah, I get it.
Right.
So for number 3, it wants to be changed to the Abington Conservation Commission reserves the right to impose reasonable additional conditions on this project and modify erosion and sediment controls during construction if it deems that site conditions warrant such measures.
Did you write that all down?
That's
Well,
what I
that's what-
changed.
Well,
I
I think
just,
that's-
instead of such as, I put and modify erosion and sediment controls during construction if it deems that the site conditions warrant such measures.
If I may,
Yes?
just consider the use of the word conditions, right? So you are issuing to us an order of conditions. This is
If
the
it
Bible for us to
deems-
follow. So by utilizing the word conditions, you're essentially saying the commission at any time can add to these list of special conditions as you see fit.
Oh, okay, so,
That's
all right,
where
so,
our issue is.
all right, so sediment controls during construction where deemed necessary. And that doesn't say conditions, it just says if we find it inadequate.
The sediment controls, yes.
Sediment erosion.
Yes, sediment and erosion controls, if they're at all deemed inadequate, you can request, nay, demand those be upgraded on site. Anything beyond that, if we're not in compliance with something to this order or your liking, then your authority is the enforcement order.
Well, it's not our liking, it's whether
Yes.
it's according to DEP, so.
I understand, yes, of
Right,
course,
right.
ma'am. Yeah, right, let's take subjectivity out of it, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, yeah.
It is in accordance with the order and the regulations, yes,
Right.
ma'am.
Yeah, it's all gonna boil down to, we get to it, is having that other monitor there. If they see, they're gonna know before we
Right,
even
right.
tell them they have to do it. Okay,
Right,
this area doesn't show erosion control on the plans, but you got runoff
yes,
going
I
down.
mean,
They're gonna put,
yes,
a good contractor's gonna put the stuff down,
right.
and then,
And again, we've never done a project like this before, so I mean,
Yeah, of course,
we want to be as careful and as,
Of course, we understand the board's concerns, and we share the same concerns, absolutely, yeah. So,
We hope you take it not as criticism to
No,
the
no,
order.
no, no.
It's feedback back and
Yes.
forth to the project and what
Right.
your intent and desires are.
right. And again, I mean, this is I've never seen a project like this before, and this is all,
reach out to Gene.
I mean, the acronyms that you threw out there earlier, I'm like,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
are those acronyms? I have no idea what they stood for, but
These tomorrow.
thank you for bringing, I mean, I had no idea.
We,
Not my area of expertise.
no, we appreciate that, and we're here, and this will be educational for both sides to
Yep.
get through it.
Absolutely.
As
I mean,
terrifically as we can.
yep,
no, I was gonna say, so to wordsmith this, does it, I just wanna, does it make sense to, say require additional or modified erosion controls if as we said, we wanna just get rid of the word conditions that show up in it? So I'm just thinking how the board would feel comfortable just wordsmithing it, or,
The commission may require, or reserves the commission may require additional sediment and erosion controls if deemed necessary.
okay.
Yeah,
How's that sound?
that sounds good.
And I-1, that's all the same.
Yeah, that-
I-1 and
that-
I-2 are pretty much the same. Right, and I think that when we had the last meeting, that I would act as the monitor with my QESC certification, but I think when we originally talked, there wasn't talk of you guys hiring a third party to do it, so I think the intent was that if I go out there and we see ongoing problems,
Yeah.
then we'd say, okay, you know what, hire somebody to do
Of
it.
course,
But if you're
yeah.
already hiring
Yeah,
somebody,
we're
it's
agreed,
not.
we're gonna get to,
Yeah,
we're
so I
agreed to
think
that, so.
if we leave it the way you worded it, if you guys want to read it, I've already read it.
okay.
I'm sorry, for which one?
I-1 and I-2.
Oh, going back? Or, wait.
Oh,
Oh,
no, the
11.
conditions,
Is
oh,
it
I'm
11?
sorry, I thought it was I-1.
Page 7? Hey, I understand.
No,
I get it.
Conditions
Yes.
11 and
11
and 12, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, so 11, so this, yeah, Chair and other members, yeah, so this one we're fine with, right? And then I think it was just relating to the next one, if we're going to hire someone, right, independent, we don't want the board hiring someone as
No,
well.
and I think that's what it was I was gonna, and then if it doesn't work out, then we hire somebody, but if you're gonna hire somebody, then I'll just, or whoever, we can touch base with them, and that's that.
Okay, so that would be, good with 11, and then removing 12, which is that the board will hire
Which-
someone in addition.
right.
So we,
So this would be an independent monitor, or this would be your own?
Someone that works
it's going
in-house
to be
with
a
you?
qualified, yeah, who meets all the specs that's mentioned here. I mean, they're gonna be hired by us, so they're independent, but they're still hired
Okay.
by us.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm just
Yeah.
wondering
They're still,
in terms of
you know,
like,
registered
how
professional,
do
that's not
you-
gonna just go,
how
It's
do
not
you?
like a peer review.
No. What I mean is, how do you maintain independence when you're working for someone, right? And
I-
you're supposed to,
I think the fact that they're a
Report if
registered
there's an
professional engineer,
issue.
and I think their license would be at risk. if
no,
they're-
I'm not trying to disparage
Yeah.
anyone. I'm just trying to wonder, like, how that works, because if we hired somebody that you pay for, like you would do for a peer review, then we would be like, okay, yeah, that person is technically not working for you, they're working for us.
I think
So it seems
that
a
the-
little bit more
yeah,
independent.
yeah.
So
I
I'm
think-
just wondering how you see that working.
I think just meeting the qualifications, right, and, you know,
They can have they have a nice little stamp, okay? That they do years and years.
and I don't think they're
School.
gonna risk their
Yeah.
professional qualifications on something like that.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
So this independent environmental monitor, I mean, do they do written reports, or is it just, they just go in and look at it and say, yep, that's okay, or is there an actual checklist that they do, and do we get a copy of it or anything? I'm just wondering.
Yeah, it's all in here.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
So we would get a
Thank you.
copy of
This
everything.
will be the same person that's gonna do the SWIP,
Okay,
right? The inspections and the SWIP.
okay.
Or is it
They
somebody-
could be the same person, because somebody empowered to do the SWPPP
Could do it,
inspections
yeah.
is generally the certified erosion control specialist as well. Yes.
Okay, so if they do the
So-
SWPPP, they can do the erosion.
All right, so we're eliminating,
And they do that weekly,
Yes,
Or during,
Well, the
after a
SWIP,
rain event, right?
yeah.
and after rain event.
Correct,
They'd be
yes.
camped out there yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
Okay.
brutal, huh?
Oh, my
Yes.
goodness, the wind was horrific.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard 65-mile-an-hour winds.
Blue Hills was clocked at 90.
Oh, wow, I didn't see that,
Unless it
wow.
changes,
Down
because
in
we're gonna
Kansas,
have.
that's
That would be,
unbelievable.
that's
Just
not
the-
changing.
What?
Boston clocked
That's
in
not
at
changing.
68.
This
Yeah,
is
okay, maybe,
eliminated
yeah, what would 90 be, would that be category 2?
Because it
No.
says.
Well, 75 is hurricane category 1.
One.
75 is category 1 for hurricane, so
Category 2, then maybe?
next one.
It might be like maybe
Oh, okay.
two.
Okay.
Probably around one.
Yeah,
Basically.
yeah.
1 plus.
I mean, that's
superseding.
crazy
Yeah.
numbers now.
Don't, that's just their.
So
numbers,
this
That doesn't
expert, they
get-
do
yeah.
their weekly reports, and they
11 stays
give
the
you a
same.
written report, and they
And
will
then
provide
12
that.
gets eliminated.
So to answer your question, as we educate together, the
Yes.
SWIP, at the back of it when it's prepared, will have a specific inspection form that
Okay.
gets completed. So those could be provided. I think you would ask
I
about
can
the
show you a copy of one.
documentation, and the
Yeah.
answer is yes.
Okay,
So those
Thank
are
you.
gonna be given to us
Yes.
as well as you.
yeah.
So typically, they're maintained on site. What
Okay.
happens is it's really at the pleasure of a commission, wherever it ends up
Okay.
being. The inspector walks around, fills out the
Delete
form,
it.
it puts it in a 3-ring binder that is required to stay on site, and it's
Okay.
accessible to anybody at any time.
Okay,
That you can come by, you can see it. But if you wanted it specifically sent into the office,
Well,
we could do that.
I guess because, I mean, most of the commissioners work, so they're not really gonna pop in and look through the logs and everything. So if we could get updates at our meetings, that would be nice to see, or if there
Or
was
just-
a,
I'd
if there
still
was-
like a paper copy
yeah,
for the file.
right,
Well, you get that with the, when they come in for a COC.
okay. Well, these are the weekly newspaper.
Yeah, but I think, I agree.
I'd like to see the weekly inspection. I've never seen one. I'm just curious. I've never seen one, and if we ever have another project like this.
Come out to my truck.
No,
He
thank
fills
you.
about 6, 7 at a time. I'm kidding.
The truck is dirty, no,
Yeah. No.
no, I'm sorry.
So I don't want to be any rough. I think it's easy enough to provide them, the
Yeah.
weekly reports, you get the copy of them. Let me just draw your attention to
Okay.
that this project will probably last 18 to 20 months or so.
Sure,
The SWIP reports tend to be very front-loaded when we're doing the earthwork. Once pavement goes down, once grass starts to grow in, those inspections do start to wane because
makes
everything
sense.
grows
I
in.
mean, that's logical.
Yes,
Yeah.
so I just wanted to draw, an inspection per week over the course of 20 months is this thick, but the reality is,
Yes.
once everything is stabilized, it's a lot smaller.
Right.
So,
And Paul has offered to go out and teach us everything we want to know about sediment and erosion control, so we're going to get our hard hats and go out with him
This will be a great case study.
Well, that's,
To learn, yeah.
well, yeah, but they all work during the day, so I mean, it's not gonna be something that, I need to have somebody
Find time.
educate me.
I'll find time.
Hey, come out.
Come out to the site.
Summertime, it's light out.
Come out to the site, check in at the construction trailer, and they'll
What color
walk you
hard
around the
hats
site
do
and
you
see
want?
anything you want.
Color hard hat, I don't care, I'm not fussy. I'm not fussy.
We'll even give you the hard
Yeah,
hat.
we'll give you a Howard hat and a bib.
Go ahead.
So we're down to just one. So just to confirm, so we're going to eliminate 12, which
Do
is
you want to
the-
go back to D1 and 2 now? We talked about
Yeah, I think
the-
I just want to talk about 15 if I can, Chair,
Okay.
the invasive species.
15.
So, and I'm going to let Phil, and Phil spoke with our wetland consultant who will be involved in this project, Goddard, and I believe
Oh, Nicole?
she had showed up, Nicole Hayes.
Yes, Nicole Hayes.
And so we had spoken at length with her about this, and I don't want to speak out of turn, so we're going to basically, kind of how we thought Matt was thinking about it and how we think the board is thinking about it, and trying to, we just want to make sure that the language is reflective without being onerous of what the board's intention was. And kind of the conversation we had earlier today.
Yes. So what I'm suggesting for you in terms of what we've seen in other IVM programs is, so 15A is fine. We would note under condition 15B, instead of 3 years, it would be 2 years, which is very much aligned with a replication standard, which is a 2-year growing period. So that's our suggestion under there. But then condition C is the one we wanted to talk the most about, because the way the condition is written, it would seem to indicate that not only we would do invasive species management, but that we would also go in and plant within the wetland resource areas, which is not really the intent. And then further, we would somehow be agreeing to some numerical standard of revegetation, which is not a standard that really should be applied to an IVM. So our ask would be that the goal of condition C would be, we will work to remove the invasive species with the intent that it's to allow the natural wetland resource vegetation to grow on its own. We're not going to go in and replug plant. We're not going to add anything within the resource areas. We're not creating replication necessarily.
So, I mean, basically, the invasives are going to be one of the first things that are going to be removed based on what you guys are going to be doing out there. So,
Yep.
what happens if there's a lot of invasives that get removed and the native species don't come back? Now you have bare areas. Would you guys plant something just to make it aesthetically look good?
Well, I think maybe what I would suggest is we could apply a wet seed mix, like a broadcast seed mix into the area, and then give that a chance to grow before we start going in and specifically
Right.
plugging.
No, I like letting the native species come back. I'm just
Yes.
saying, if they don't, then, you might have this ugly bare spot. What do you do with it?
Right. I think we could all pretty much guarantee that something will grow back. Hopefully it's the
Hopefully
natives
it's
and
not.
not the IVM, right? The invasive species. So I think, obviously, Mark, you can agree to it as a suggested alteration of the condition is that we would remove the IVM. And at a time of your choosing, the commission's choosing, if it's at the 1-year mark or closer to the end of the project, apply that wet seed mix and let that grow in.
I'd probably defer to,
I would, I
I'd
would-
defer to the wetland scientist.
I mean,
want to do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine that they'd want to be sowing the seeds earlier on than that, not at the end. To get, I mean, if you're going to check it for 2 years for invasive species, you might as well be removing it and then immediately trying to throw seed on it right away. And, I mean, just looking at what Nicole did with the different project, it takes a
Right.
while for that stuff to get
Yeah.
established and knowing that,
Yeah.
yes, we got the right thing.
That's
so.
fine. So I'll plead my ignorance here. We'll all learn together in terms of what actually gets removed. I don't know what it is. Nicole knows, believe me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I do know that some of it takes a little longer than other things. Some things you can go in and clip, but other things you have to go in and kill. And that time is not always instantaneous. So whatever the commission thinks, whatever Nicole thinks,
yes. And we've worked with her on other projects, so we're familiar and she understands exactly
Great,
you know, what we look for and what we want.
great.
You know, it's just for the betterment of the resource areas.
We agree. I mean,
Yeah.
we understand that's the intent.
Yep.
We're just trying to focus the efforts.
Yep,
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be asking for, get these high bush blueberries and these sorts of things,
No. Serviceberry, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, something like that,
Yeah.
but,
But to the same point that Mr. Chair raised, some things maybe don't grow, which is why we can't, obviously, the 75% is also a metric that might not be achievable.
Well, 75% is,
that's for replication.
That's a
yeah,
replication.
I just stopped myself, that's why I stopped myself.
Right, you
I was
got
like,
it.
I stopped myself, I was like, whoops,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
no, I know.
Like right after the end stuff.
Okay, so you want us to alter this to just say after removal, we'll plant the wet seed?
We'll apply the
Or
seed
apply
mix.
the,
Yeah,
Yeah,
If that's amenable to the commission.
yes.
I'm fine
Yeah,
with that.
or just, they are gonna have you're gonna have a plan provided to us.
Yes.
And Nicole can add what her plans would be
So
for
that stays
doing
two.
seed,
Yes.
when
Okay.
she
And
thinks is
that
the
you'll
best time to do
review,
it.
okay.
Yeah, so
Yes.
you can make that part of
Yeah.
the plan that she's gonna give us.
Okay, so then this condition will just be accepted the way it's redlined? Oh, but that says,
Well,
with that, so
add
we would
the-
just remove this, right, because that does mention additional, although we are doing additional,
No, I
I'm trying
I
to think
think
how
we
we.
should keep that in there, just what you wrote, the plan shall specify removal of invasive species that will allow for native species vegetation
With
with
addition.
Supplemented with a New England wet seed.
wetland
Yeah.
seed
All right,
mixture.
so the
Yeah.
plan shall specify, sorry, Phil, what was that?
Supplemented
Supplement, that's all gonna
With-
stay.
With
a New England wet seed mixture.
New England
Yeah,
wet seed mixture, period.
Period.
And so we'd just cross out the without additional planting, and that gets
Right.
replaced with that.
Yep.
yeah.
We'll get you there.
So now it's
Just for
back to-
clarification, it's not written here, but I have to ask, so that invasive species management plan, which Nicole will prepare, she will provide it to the commission, is that something that has to be presented to the commission, or is it submitted and you'll review it on your own?
Submit it to her and then, yep.
You got
We'll look
Thank
it
you.
over and we can go
Okay. Thank you.
back and forth.
Thank you. So if we can, we'll go back to
The Ds.
circle up on D, yeah.
So again, their monitor is gonna check for a lot of the stuff that's in here. I guess my thoughts on taking the samples before construction started too were, what happens if something, from when you start construction to when you finish construction, something happens and you don't, just
And they blame it on you.
blame it on you, yeah.
And then
Fair.
we're here on Facebook.
Like, say
They
there's something in
suck,
there right
they're-
now.
It's happened. I'm on
Yeah.
Facebook for lots of different reasons. It happens. The issue is, if the commission wants to do that, we have to define it, right? It has to be very specific in terms of what you would be looking for and why you would be looking for it. You know, I apologize for being persnickety, but without it, we don't know what we're looking for. And then I'll be on Facebook for that
Yeah.
too. So to be candid, to finish the thought, I guess to not plant a seed of let's think about it. In my opinion, from doing a lot of these, the notion of doing water quality sampling on a site like this, while it's terrifically important to the town, I've represented that, we understand, we agree to your conditions, we'll do everything we can to protect the resource areas, but the water quality methodology here just doesn't seem consistent with the nature of the site. Once we have the construction happening, if we took the pond, for example, once this area is grubbed out and the earth removed, our natural grade will actually be below the pond. None of our runoff actually will even go to the pond. So if we were to continue testing, it would be the native water. At the same time, we're talking about testing water that's diluting with tens of thousands of gallons of water in there. I don't know legitimately how effective the testing would be, quite frankly.
And again, they're gonna have a monitor. They're gonna be following the SWIP, the NIPD's permit.
Do they
Which
have
are
water
all-
monitor quality in those?
I don't know if they have samples in there, but it's all,
Yeah, they'll be looking for
Do they?
breaks that could potentially make it.
what's that?
Right, the monitor will be potentially looking for fails in the road
Yeah.
that would lead that to the water quality to be less than favorable, right? So they'll identify and
And I think just to answer your question that you might not have asked, but I'll give you the information to help your decision. The SWIP doesn't specify water quality testing unless you're using dewatering on site,
Which
in
we
which
don't
case.
plan on.
Right, so, but if we're dewatering and releasing it, then it has to be tested. But if it's dewatered to a collection area on site that doesn't go anywhere, then there's no testing requirement under the SWIP, the NEPD's SWIP.
and that's the big thing too. We're not discharging anything off-site.
Nothing leaves the site, no construction water leaves the site. I mean, water leaves the site, as you would indicate, it's gonna go from here to here, that still happens, but no construction water. That really is the purpose of the SWIP. And I'm sorry to draw your attention, somebody's entered the waiting room. I don't know if that's an important person. That's
Are they
nice.
waiting for another project?
His name is Jim.
Jim,
High tech.
he was hanging out there for a while. I don't know if he was, yeah.
You said earlier. Hello.
I don't know.
I mean, all this stuff's gonna be going into the new basins anyway, the new sediment basins.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm fine with eliminating them.
Okay. I think this goes into looking over these and updating them.
Yeah,
And
oh yeah,
understanding,
yep.
the language and everything like that, so.
What I missed?
I'm fine with eliminating the Ds.
All of them?
Mm-hmm.
Please tell me why. I'm just curious.
Because they're not discharging off-site.
They're saying it's not, none of the water is gonna get close to the pond, right?
That's
It's all
correct.
gonna be going to those new basins once they're constructed.
Correct. So you have already established for us, our construction sequencing is these ponds first. This area gets protected with your siltation and fence barrier. This grade gets lowered here. Once that all happens, no further water goes this way, it all goes this way. That's the intent of construction that'll be supported by the environmental monitor, the reports that you get.
I think part of the problem is that, we've talked about these standard orders being decades old.
Yes.
Besides, we don't, decades later, we're looking at these not understanding the intent
Correct.
of them,
Yes.
and which calls for us to, again, we need to, update these.
Along with everything else we've done, yes.
So,
Yep.
I think,
getting,
if I may, when you think about your conditions, this sounds like the water quality conditions are really written more towards impaired waterways, TMDLs, that exist, nitrogen-sensitive areas, they're very common for areas like that. This doesn't appear to be one of those, so. I don't know that that helps context, and I'm only sharing an opinion.
sure. So, I love data, but I don't, yeah, I think it can get deleted.
All three of them?
Yeah. I don't know. Jean, what do you think?
Well, again, these are all going to be covered under the, what's the acronym again?
SWIP.
Yes.
NEPD.
Well, our inspections are covered under the SWIP,
Yeah.
and our
And the
reports are covered
independent
under the SWIP.
monitor will be there.
And the independent monitor is required by this commission and has to do the SWIP inspections. But I do want to be clear, I don't want to mislead you. The SWIP does not require water quality testing, except in very specific circumstances.
However, the sequencing that you show, that's going to be happening will ensure that nothing it'll be below what the current grade is for the pond area.
Yes.
Okay.
So that is our intent, that is our goal. We're not perfect, so let's set reasonable standards.
Yes.
But we're not going into this thinking, well, we'll put it in the pond. Certainly not.
Yep.
Certainly not. Great.
All right, so
You
somebody,
guys-
So I don't, and I appreciate, obviously, thank you very much. We really appreciate, you guys willing to work with us and the time tonight. I know right before the holidays, full agenda. I don't know if it makes sense to just go confirm it, or if you're good with,
I think we're good. I mean,
Just-
Tony's got everything down. I think we agreed on
okay.
either just going with your changes or amending your changes to agree on, meeting in the middle.
Yeah, there was a couple of wordsmithing ones, right?
Yep.
We eliminated A3, C3, all the Ds. Wordsmithing on, and then eliminated D.
The meeting's all recorded, so you can always play it back,
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I can't listen to my own voice, it's very grating.
Yeah, I can do that.
No, I know, but when you can't remember everything and you forgot to write it down, you say, what did that say? What did that write?
I thought she was agreeing to my voice being grating. She said I know.
No, I meant, no,
She understands.
Go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
No, that was
That's
it.
not-
No, that was it.
I have to listen to my voice every day, so I'm used to it.
Oh,
I don't
like
even-
transcription. Is that?
No, I make videos and
Oh.
audios. And I used to teach spin, so you'd have the boy band mic and you
Oh.
could hear what you sound like.
Oh.
And that was, and then I just got used to it.
When
so.
we're on Zoom meetings and the other party has their microphone up and I hear myself, it's cringy.
It is.
You just have to get used to it, and then
All
you're
right.
fine.
Anyways,
There's nobody in the audience, I'll bring it back to the board.
Okay.
Anybody have any other questions, comments? Rich, you have anything?
I just had a question. I think it'd be easier if we remove D1 through 3. Is that
Yep.
relevant at this point?
We already agreed on that.
Okay, just double checking. As we talk about hearing voices and the Zoom meetings, it is a little tingy and I'm trying to follow through, and so far I'm listening pretty good, so.
All right.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna make the motion to approve revisions to order of conditions for
As
As
discussed
discussed.
at this meeting.
for SE 084-565 located at 0 Summer Street, with revisions being made to agree with the changes to A1, A3, remove C3, agree on the revisions to G5, the revisions to H7, the revisions to 12D, the revisions to J3. We agree with 15B, the revised changes to 15C, Oops, you went side to side, not up and down.
Sorry.
Revisions to B2, remove D1, D2, D3, and we agreed on number 11, special condition number 11. Somebody want to make or a second?
If I just may, Chair, did you mention
Second.
G7? I apologize, G7,
I think he did say G7.
and I apologize if you
No, I
did.
didn't say G7,
I
so.
thought you did.
No, I said H7.
Oh,
So G5, and then, what was,
okay.
what was,
G7 is
G7 and
consistent with
H7.
Massachusetts Contingency Plan MC guidelines. Okay. Okay,
yeah, keep the revisions to G7.
okay.
Now, does somebody want to make a second?
I think
Rich,
Rich did.
Well, yeah, but
I apologize, Rich.
I
Yeah.
amended it too.
Second.
All right, roll call. Rich?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Lynn?
Aye.
I'm also an aye, unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Chair and Board, appreciate it. Tony and Chair,
Thanks,
but
guys.
just as an administrative, this,
We'll have it to you tomorrow.
yeah, just before the end of that 10-day period, it has to be
Yeah.
reissued, yeah, just as a procedural. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Tony.
Yeah,
All right.
thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Next up, discussion on
nice holiday.
updating standard order of conditions. So I think
We've established there is a
we
need.
should update them. So what I've been doing is I've been reaching out to a couple other commissions that I've either dealt with in the past or that I'm dealing with now.
Okay.
Just to get their,
Input?
get copies of their standard orders of condition.
Okay.
I'll try and bunch what I can together to make something better than what we already have. I'm gonna
Okay.
defer to the replication stuff to Lynn,
Okay.
unless somebody else wants to dive in and touch anything. And then, once I get something, you guys can also get feedback from other, I know you've reached out to other commissions in the past too, so.
I mean, I don't want to duplicate anything that you're doing, so if you want to kind of send a communication or form some sort of subcommittee that we can communicate about.
let me do my
Okay.
own.
Okay.
And then Tony can send it out to everybody.
All
You guys
right.
can make comments on it.
And-
And then
right.
we can,
That works for me, and then, yep,
all right,
Just have a Word document that goes back and forth?
yeah.
oh, yes, thank you.
Permits and site visits. Rich and I did site visits at Groveland/Linwood Street. Anybody else do any permits? I mean, do any site visits?
Nope.
No.
Well, you did
Oh,
the water
Yeah,
main.
29 Adley.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's
Yeah.
right, yes, we did.
We did that.
There were
Um,
no conservation issues there, right?
No, because
All
I
right.
guess the in-law apartment's going to be coming forward towards the street versus going behind the house, it's coming forward.
But that whole area that's just, detention basin, it was done
Yes, years ago.
maybe
All right.
10, 15 years ago,
I-
so
Yeah,
it's
So-
not really acting as a wetland, so.
All right, next up, meeting minutes. The first one for April 27th, I am abstaining because I wasn't there for it.
Where is,
They're in
did I
the
give you
packets.
my copy?
I thought I handed them back to you. April 27th, I did give them back to you.
You did.
I did.
Then where do
I don't know, because these are the
Yeah, have
ones.
mine, I wasn't there.
they? Okay.
You can,
Do the,
yeah, I'll let you do that one.
okay. So, get a motion to approve the meeting minutes for
Motion to
the
approve, yeah.
April 27th, 2023 meeting?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Rich?
Rich?
Sorry, trying to get to the button. Yes?
Do you approve the motion to approve the April 27th, 2023 minutes?
I do, thank you.
Okay. Jean?
Yes.
And Lynn? Yes.
Okay.
All right, next up, August 22nd, 2023. Rich, you weren't there, so you cannot vote on this, so it'll be,
Motion to approve.
Those are mine.
These are? I don't have any.
I know. Sorry. Yes, I'm good.
all right. I'll make a motion to approve meeting minutes for August 22nd, 2023. Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Oh,
Aye.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, roll call. Jean?
Yay.
Lynn?
Aye.
I'm also an aye, unanimous. All right, Rich, you weren't here for this one either, so October 24th, 2023 meeting minutes.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the October 2023 meeting minutes.
I'll second. Roll call. Jean?
Aye.
Lynn?
Aye.
I'm also an aye, unanimous. And last one, Rich, you were here for this one, I think everybody was here for this one. November 28th, 2023. I missed one.
Okay. There it is.
I didn't have the
I
6th,
didn't have the sixth.
only June 13th.
Here. I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the November 28th, 2023 meeting.
I'll second. Roll call. Rich?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Lynn?
Aye.
I'm also an aye, unanimous. All right, the last one, June 13th. We were all here for this one, too.
It's
Huh?
not on the agenda.
Oh, it's not on the agenda. All right, never mind.
Forget it.
It's all right. Correspondence, this is it. Oh, we got correspondence for 154 Brockton Ave and for 0 Hancock in our packets. Just think,
This was from a while
yep.
ago. We already have this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or she had sent it to us by email.
Well, this is from Tetra Tech with regards to the naval base, Union Point, whatever it's called now.
And we had no other correspondence?
I'm looking at it.
Okay.
I'll do that after.
Notice a project change.
207 Bedford Street. I don't think there's wetlands in that area, but I could be wrong. Actually, hold on. Three of them. 2 Railroad.
I have to look on Mass Mapper.
I don't think there's wetlands in this one either.
82 Railroad Street, probably not.
Huh?
Oh, we have a copy at the town hall? Did anybody look at it?
No.
Notice of project change? Who would have that?
I have no idea.
On the Southfield redevelopment,
I,
I'm asking Tony, she's looking at me, I'm like, they say that Abington Town Hall has a copy of the change, notice of project change and supplementary filing.
I think Liz may have it. I think we may have been provided with one, but then it got bounced between me and planning, because it was supposed to go to planning, but it was given to me. I think that's what it is. I'm not 100% sure on that. I can poke around for you.
Yeah, just let me know, because I'd be curious to look at it.
Okay.
Thank you. Passing this back, thank you.
Hopefully, knock on wood, it's a quiet winter for us. I think it might be a good time to try and set up a joint meeting with Open Space, just to see what we can do to help them get the ball rolling on what their thoughts are with some of this land that we put into conservation last year, or the last couple of years. Who's the
I think
chair
it's a
over
good
there
idea.
now? Nicole? Okay. Permits. I know Rich signed one for 200 Myers Ave. I signed one for 61 Constitution Ave. Lynn, did you sign any?
No.
So that's all for permits. Oh, we gotta do the order of conditions for the other two properties.
For Robert English,
Yeah.
you mean?
Yep,
Do we want to hold off on
No.
that because we have replication?
there's no replication. Replication's part of the notice of intent that's already, we extended. Talked about that at the last meeting.
For Robert English?
Yeah.
What we just talked about today.
We talked about
Those
the
two
property.
houses.
The replication is part of the subdivision notice of intent.
I'm confused.
There's an open notice of intent for the subdivision. Remember, that's why we had them
Yep,
revise the plan to show the buffer based off of the replication for
right.
that order of conditions.
Are they gonna have the same order or separate?
Same, just with the signs, I think.
Okay.
So the replication's already covered under a different notice of intent.
Oh, okay. So they're going to follow that instead of...
Which we didn't, this board didn't approve that, it was a prior board. We just voted to extend it earlier this year, I think it was, right? Or it might have been last year.
May.
Yes,
I think
yes,
it's
yes.
Same as Peter Creek.
Yep. Remember that one?
That's not the board,
Huh?
but that's not all the orders. This is the one I caught, I
Oh,
downloaded, or I
You
printed
have
out.
They go.
There you go.
Thanks.
You want
I
one
think
too, or
Gina
you want to
wants
share?
one too.
What's that?
The standard order of conditions.
Yes, please.
Going back.
This one? All right.
Wait, give me a minute.
Well, we'll give this,
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right, so 35 feet. A2, A3, A4, A5, A6. B1, B2, delete the first sentence. And then 6, B6. C2, no D, E, and F. No D, no E. G1, G2, G3, G4, G5, 100 feet. G6, G7, H2, H4, H5, H6, B, C, D, F, G. And then it's 7C with a question mark.
7C with a question mark.
H7C, yeah. Why do I have a question mark?
do they have, what are they using for maintenance of their culverts, detention basins? Well, fertilizers, right? We do want the minimal use of fertilizers, herbicides, and pesticides.
So keep that.
Yeah.
H8, H9. I1 would be, well, I1, then I2, A, B, and C. And then we want the Abington Conservation signage,
Yep.
which is, it's shown on the plans, on the at the 35-foot, no disturb.
I think we should be more specific about the height of the signs.
Yep,
So put it into 4x4.
it's gonna be at
For sure.
least 3 feet, 4 feet tall. I mean, look at 154 Broad, I'm sorry, I don't want to say, on another project, the signs were tall enough that they could be seen. Yeah, I mean, even with going back to another project last year in 2022, signs were
I'd say 4 feet,
4 feet tall,
ground to bottom of sign.
right? I agree.
Pre-construction meeting 2 weeks prior to construction, minimum 2 weeks prior to construction. Have a track pad. For vehicles entering and exiting, or for vehicles exiting. Daily cleanup
Yep,
on the roadway.
yep.
Unscheduled site visits may,
Sorry.
unscheduled site visits may occur between 7 AM and 7 PM in case of complaints.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Can we make that motion for both properties if we just make the motion to approve? Huh? Okay. All right, I will make a motion to, well, actually, do you guys, anybody else have anything to add to special conditions?
No.
Nope, thank you.
All right,
And it was covered under chemicals, no salt, da-da-da-da, salt substitute stuff.
Yeah, there was a,
Yeah, I thought I saw it, but I wasn't sure.
yeah, minimal concentration of fertilizers,
Excellent.
herbicides,
Okay.
and or
Yep.
pesticides.
Oh, that's good.
all right, so I will make a motion to approve the order of conditions for SE 084568 located at 5 Robert English Way, and also to be used for SE 084-570 located at 17 Robert English Way. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call. Rich?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Lynn?
Aye.
I'm also an aye, unanimous. Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second.
All right,
I was
Rich-
waiting on you, Rich.
Rich, you're first, roll
I saw
call.
the pause, thank you.
Rich, you go first, roll call.
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Lynn?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Good night, everybody.